Hey everybody, it's Farmer Dale coming to you from the kitchen, actually filming today because we have a big island in our kitchen, so I can spread things around and really work things out. But hey, today we're talking about planning, not planting, planning. So I've found that the more that I plan ahead of time, the more that I am able to write on paper, draw out pictures, draw out whatever I need to plan for what we're going to grow this season is invaluable. The very first year that we grew a garden, here on this property anyway, we just kind of did it. Plowed up a little plot. It wasn't the best area, we found out, because we had an actual spring in that area, and it got too much water, and I didn't realize that. I didn't do any research. So that's what I'm getting to today: research and planning. If you're going to grow things in your garden that you want to be successful, you really need to know where you're going to grow it, how you're going to grow it, what types of fertilizers do you need. Are you going to use fertilizers? Are you going to spray your plants with any insecticides, or are you going to be organic as much as possible? What is your plan? But that is number one. Boy, you got to have a plan. So if you don't have a plan, we're going to help you out with that today as we go through things. I've got a notebook that I've been using for the last 3 years, and I'm going to flip through those here in just a second and kind of show you what I've kind of scribbled out. A bunch of it are just scribbles, just notes, things that I watch, and I'll jot down a note, and I can always go back and look from year to year. It also helps with crop rotations, because we keep our drawings of where we got everything, because I'm getting old, so I can't think as well as I used to. So my memory's not as good. So I need to go back and look and see what we planted in those areas. We can also go back and look and see how many seeds we bought per plant or per variety. Hey, there's Webbs. So everybody say hi to Webbs. He's going to look out the window and see what's going on in the neighborhood. But hey, planning those things out and being able to look back and say, hey, well, this worked, or this didn't work, is invaluable, because it will make you more successful for the next year. Because where you planted this may not be very good. It helps big time with our crop rotation, from our peas to our tomatoes to our plant to our peppers to all of our squash and zucchini plants, our flowers. Being able to crop rotation those in our garden is really good. We're also starting 2 new plots this year to add on to our garden. So we're going to be close to about without our big sunflower crop that we're going to grow for pictures. Even without that, we're going to be close to 1.5 acres, which we were probably right around 1 acre. So we're adding about 1/2 acre to the square footage, which is going to be awesome, I think. But that's going to take some soil preparation and getting those things going. So as soon as it dries out, we're going to start that process. And we got everything marked out yesterday and got everything plotted to where we know the square footage and the length of each rows. We're also extending our rows. Our rows were 40 feet each, and now we're going to go 50 feet on each row. So that's going to give us a little bit more square footage. And so as we get better at what we're doing and know a little bit more about the plants the vegetables that really work for us and the varieties that really work for us and successful with, the more that we can grow and the more that we're growing. So planning is really important. So in our notebook, and as I go through this in just a second, you're going to see starting all the way back in 2020, we started writing down notes, and then last year we wrote down more notes, and the previous year we wrote down more notes, and it just kind of, I'm going to flip through that pretty quick, and so you can kind of see. But hey, Walmart, buy you one of these. Actually, I got this from school because some kid had left it and they didn't come get it, and it was kind of funny. It says Bible on the front of it. He never returned it. So hey, I took it. It was almost like a brand new. It had no name on it, so I had no idea. We put it in Lost and Found for a long time, and nobody got it, so I took it. So being resourceful is really good too. So, all right, so we're going to get into showing you what we do and how we plan everything out. We also do a few things on the computer with some spreadsheets, which is pretty cool too. So, but I like to just write things out because I can just keep it in a notebook and I have to print things out and that kind of stuff. So, so here we go. Let's look at that notebook. All right, so we have my handy dandy notebook here, my garden book. And I'm not going to go through here, but we kind of plan out, hey, we want, I got it clipped because this was all back previous, but we wrote down the types and varieties of each watermelons, cucumbers, tomatoes, corn, cantaloupe, things that we've grown in the past, or okra, or peas, green beans, hot peppers. We didn't, so it looks like we grew a lot. And then here's one of the first diagrams we made, which we're trying to, if you go through here, trying to plan out how much space you need per row for each thing and each section of your garden, depending on how you do things. But we kind of drew that out. That was this was our second year. This was the first successful year that we've done. But we kind of went through there. You can see we wrote down the price, just making notes that we can go back and look at. And then we said, hey, we need this many seeds. So we wrote down everything we were going to grow, each variety, and we wrote down how many seeds we needed to purchase so that we could go on and purchase those. Just more little notes. We wrote down this right here's a plant schedule. So we kind of wrote down, well, this is the time of the year that we kind of want to start these things. So we know a planting schedule. Got more, we planted out row by row. We knew and once we planted, then we started charting down exactly what was on each row. That's really important too. So row 1, row 2. We haven't really done very much of staking out, and we'll look at all those rows right there. So that's row. And then we gave a date on each row of when we actually planted that row. Most of these are direct seeds, so we knew exactly when those were going in. Pumpkins, we talked, just price list. This is when we got to market, we just started dribbling down or writing down, well, hey, we want to charge this much for this crop and that kind of stuff. So just on and on and on and on and on. So you can kind of see as we flip through there. This was the 2022, this last year's price list. So we kind of had that, and then we typed it all up nice and neat, like it looked good at the market, of course. But we kind of knew what we had and what we're going to get. Hey, we even went to, this was interesting. I went to Kroger and I actually got online on the computer and I was looking at, well, this is what they're charging for this. And this is what Kroger, which is our local grocery store here closest to us. So I'm like, well, they're charging this, they're charging this. So you want to make sure that you're getting the fair price for your vegetables. And then, well, 2023, you can see it right there, 2023 garden plans. This was the very first sheet that I started. I'm like, well, this is what I want to grow. We wrote down how many days to harvest time. We wrote down if this was tomatoes, intermediate, determinate. So just writing down how many seeds we needed and what we're going to grow. So that was our first planting stages on that. Flowers or peas or okra. So we just started, just continue to write down, and then we got into our microgreens and we started writing down notes about which ones need to soak, how much do you put out per tray. So I can always just go back and flip back to this really, really fast. So we'll know what's going on with our microgreens. And then, hey, we got a market dates. We got a sheet that we know these are the Saturdays that we want to be at the market. So we got all that kind of planned out. And then a need to order page. Hey, I need to order these. We're running low on this, that kind of thing. And then we got to what we've currently been working on is how many seeds per variety or type of plant or vegetable, flower or vegetable that we've already purchased. So I went through and I know exactly how many seeds that we have. So when we start in our grow room next Saturday, that we start with our peppers next Saturday, by the way. So we'll start those. We know how many microgreens we currently have in stock. So just an inventory of what we have. And we went through all that, and we wrote down how many seeds, the dates to harvest, so we kind of know what's going on there. So that's what we've been working on. And then since yesterday, this was our last sheet that we did. We have 3 major plots that we grow in, and we went and just measured it out, got it all done, and then we know exactly how much square foot we have per plot, and then we've got that. And then the total plots, about 63,000 square feet is what we're going to be growing in this year, and that's without our major sunflower plot for. Hey, we got an email. So we're right at 1.44 acres is what we're going to be growing on this year, which is a lot. It is a lot. It is a lot. So there you go. That's the notebook. Next thing we're going to talk about is the drawing for the layout of each plot. Stay tuned. All right, well, we pulled some sheets out of our notebook because it was easier to use. But anyway, here we have several different plots, and so we divided it up. We kind of, and I love the lines on papers because it kind of allows me to get everything really situated. And I just kind of, my chicken scratch, of course, laid everything out. So this first plot, we call it plot number 1, which is our biggest long plot. This 300 feet long, and they're 50-foot rows. So we can tell how many plants we're going to get based. So if you start looking right here, this right here is going to be the very first part of our large plot is where we're going to put our peppers this year. In this plot right here, we had peas and corn. We had basically peas and corn within this set of rows. So the crop rotation is really important. So we're going to plant our peppers where we had those peas set up last year, and we just went row by row, and I wrote out how many plants. 25 mini bells is what we're going to plant on that row. We're going to plant 25 banana peppers, 25 banana peppers, and we just went all the way through. And then the last row down here, I got 12 rows in this first set, which is 72 feet. And it's our 2 rows of eggplant, 25 plants of each of our eggplant. So that's plot number 1. Got all that kind of drawn out. We know that we know the square footage or how much feet we need for that approximately. And then I've got plot number 1, part 2. And the next, so we start in the front of our garden, and we kind of move downward to fill in that 300 feet. And here we're going to be planting our squash and zucchinis and our pickled cucumbers and our regular slicing cucumbers. So we just went row by row. We got 12 rows of those total. So we spaced all that out, got all that math out there. And that's 93 feet is what all of that came up to be. So kind of know where all that's going to go. And then it's going to be my favorite part of the garden is our plot number 1, part number 3. And it's going to be all of our sunflowers, our first group of sunflowers. So we had about 135 feet left over with that. So, but anyway, how we're going to plant our sunflowers, our couple rows of zinnias. The only thing I did not put on here is our marigolds, which we'll sporadically grow those throughout our garden to help with insects. But so there's those. That's part number 3. And then our second plot, which is a 60 by 50 plot, is where we're going to put all of our tomatoes. We're going to put all of our tomatoes in the same plot. We have grown our tomatoes over in plot number 1 last year. So this year we're moving them over. And in this plot, we had beans and peas. We had lima beans growing in there. And we even grew some squash and zucchinis and even some cantaloupes in this one plot last year. So, but this year we're going to grow our tomatoes over here in this plot. And we've got it all planned out, ready to go. Celebrities and our big beefs and our Cherokee, our purple boys, our Tahachis, and our sun goals. So we got all that planned out. That is... we got a 60-foot plot, and that's going to take up that whole plot right there just with all of those, which is going to be awesome. So that's plot number 2. And then plot number 3 is where we're gonna grow all of our okra. We're gonna grow a lot of okra this year and hopefully be able to sell it. It's a good seller for us. A lot of people in our area love okra. So we're gonna have several different, 3 different types of okra, the Clemson spineless, the red burgundy, which is my favorite, and then we're gonna do, we grew a lot of the jambalaya last year. We're gonna grow the Clemson spineless. But anyway, so that plots it out, and we got 10 rows of okra, which actually would be a lot of okra. So that's pretty cool. So that's the best way that I found that, hey, I just draw it out on a piece of paper. I know what I got. So when we start direct seeding, or when we start transplanting all of our plants, we'll know what's going where and how it's going to go in, and hopefully be very successful with that. And then our 4th plot is going to be a big, huge plot that we've got back on our back of our property, and we're going to grow some really tall sunflowers for pictures, for people to come out and take pictures. So that's going to be pretty awesome. So I think we got a great plan, but you got to have a plan. Got to have a plan. So now the question is, what are you going to do to plan out your garden? You gonna do it like mine? You probably have a whole nother process, and that's okay. I would love to hear about that. Leave those comments at the bottom of this video. Love to hear from you, and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like, hit that bell so you know when we get a new video coming out. So I hope y'all have a good time planting your garden. I get really excited. This is what I get really excited about: planting the garden. The possibilities that are gonna happen this summer, I just cannot wait. So stay tuned for our next video. I don't know what it's gonna be, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be something about the garden. Anyway, appreciate y'all. Hope y'all have a great day. You can see the sun shining here in Zone 7B. Springtime is coming. So, Farmer Dale.